So I finally got the chance to go out and see Sound of Freedom, a movie that I keep hearing in the news constantly for various different reasons. And I have to say, I am quite surprised. How's it going, fellas and files? This is Dominic from Film Overload, the channel where we talk about movies, pop culture, and everything in between. And like I said in my intro, I went out to my local cinema and I finally saw the film Sound of Freedom. And like I also mentioned in my intro, this movie has gotten a lot of buzz and responses for various different reasons. A movie that seems to be almost divisive in a way, and I really don't understand why it's so divisive with air quotes. I don't know why, but I really thought that this film had something interesting to tell. The film follows the story of Tim Ballard, a former U.S. government agent who quits his job in order to devote his life to rescuing children from global sex traffickers. I think the film itself was made very well. I can see where people get the faith-based kind of structure for the film, mainly due to its lead actor, Jim Caviezel, who many of you probably know who portrayed Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ back in 2004. But I have to say, the faith part of this movie is not the forefront. It's rather the backdrop for the movie. It's not shoved in your face like a lot of faith-based films do, which make it really cringy to watch, in my opinion. It really serves as the background for the film. And I appreciate that because, like I said, it's really cringy to watch just that over-the-top kind of faith-based stuff in some of these movies because it's just very obvious and a bit too much at times. But this film really kind of has that in the background. It makes you really focus on the story and the story being told. Now, for me personally, the writing was a little bit on and off. When it's on, it's really, really on. But when it's off, it just does not come off right. Mainly in the dialogue between the characters, which really kind of hurt their overall arc in the film, in my honest opinion. But I didn't think that the writing was enough to dock a lot of points off of this film. Again, when it's on, it's really, really on. But when it's off, it's just kind of noticeable and sticks out kind of like a sore thumb. And because of the fluctuation of the writing, it really didn't give me enough time to really invest my time and attention to all of the main characters. The characters just felt like little plot devices to push the story forward, and I really didn't get fully invested in any of the ones that I was supposed to really care about, which was also a shame because I thought the cast in this movie was actually pretty solid. Speaking of the cast, this cast is led by Jim Caviezel, and like I mentioned earlier, the name sounds familiar because he played Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, and he plays Tim Ballard here, and I think this might be, outside of The Passion of the Christ for obvious reasons, I think this is Jim's best performance. I think that he really put himself into Tim Ballard's shoes and really wanted to play a character who was just trying to do right. And I think through Jim's performance and his emotions especially, you really get that sense of this guy who just wants to clear all of these kids' names that he's trying to save. And I think Jim really conveys those emotions and really puts the audience in that situation as well alongside with him. You really feel like you're his sidekick throughout the entirety of this film, which I actually really did appreciate. So Jim Caviezel as the lead character in this movie was honestly really solid. Now, I also really enjoyed the supporting characters in this movie, which was very surprising. Just a lot of interesting characters to go alongside of Jim Caviezel. I wish they were used just a little bit more because I really thought that some of them were rather quite interesting. But overall, I thought that the cast was really good. I thought they did what they could do with what they were given. And I thought that overall they were enjoyable. Now, as far as the pacing goes, I thought that the pacing was decent. There's a couple of slower points throughout the course of the film that really kind of slow it down, in my opinion. But if you can really get past those slower moving parts of the film, I thought the film moved fairly well. Again, there's a couple of those moments here and there where it just kind of feels a little bit slow and drawn out, which made the movie feel a little bit slow and drawn out. But the movie overall flowed fairly well. And once again, I just want to make clear that a lot of movies like this movie get put into like the faith-based category, and sure, there is some faith elements and messaging in this film, but again, it's not the forefront of the movie, it's the background of the movie. It isn't shoved in your face. It's mentioned here and there about like the religion and like the faith stuff here and there, but it's not just slammed in your face like a lot of other faith-based movies are. It's really in the background because they really want you to focus on the story being told. Overall, Sound of Freedom is a very solid film. Is it a great film? No. Is it a bad film? No. It's just a solid film with a solid foundation. These independent filmmakers just wanted to make a movie and explain a problem that has plagued the world. And that's all they wanted to do. They weren't trying to push any agenda. They were just trying to say, this is a problem that has plagued the world and we need to fix it. And that's all they were trying to tell. You know, there was no messaging or any like, oh, left versus right, in my opinion. I didn't see any of that in there at all. It was just a story about a problem that has plagued the world. And people have responded. It's made $100+ million at the box office, and it was made for nothing. It's very hard to make that kind of money on an independent studio. Sometimes it's very hard to get your name out there and very hard to make a lot of money. But this movie really came out of nowhere. So this movie has really done well, and hopefully these guys keep continuing to make money off this movie, because I think that overall I thought it was a very solid experience. So that's it. And guys, if you liked this review and want to see more forms of content like it, don't be shy and hit that like button. Also, hit subscribe while you're at it and turn on the post notifications so that you guys can get notified every single time I post a video. You can follow me on Letterboxd, which is right here. I post all of my movie reviews on Letterboxd, as it helps me keep track of movies that I have watched, movies that I haven't watched, and movies that I will watch. And I think you guys would benefit greatly from this app and this website if you are indeed lovers of cinema like myself. As always, guys, happy movie watching. Take care.